Hi everyone, my name is Marcin and welcome in this color grading Photoshop tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how from this image, from this street fashion image, going to do retouch, color grading, some dodging and burning to get this kind of result. As you can see, it's fantastic result, some vintage colors, the saturation is a little bit down. And for me, this effect is really fantastic. I hope you're going to think the same, and I hope you're going to learn something really great from this tutorial. So at first, before I start the proper part, I'm going to show you a little bit in correction in Camera Raw, and then I'm going to work in Photoshop. And that is the image I started with, and there's few things I'd like to say before I start with everything. Take a look at this image and it looks really great. I think it's really beautiful fashion image. I was looking for something like this. I had a plan to do something really great, some really great retouch with this kind of image. And the thing I noticed, you know, it's still looking great. We can zoom this a little bit and it's looking really fantastic. The colors are fantastic. It looks a little bit like retro old-fashioned image, but there's few things that are not actually correct on this image, and the things it's not correct is resolution. And I've got the highest possible resolution of this image, but after we zoom this image really a lot, as you can see, the resolution is horrible. So basically in this tutorial I want to focus on the thing how to improve this thing, how to do really great perfect color grading, how to improve sharpness and try to improve the quality of this image to make this look really professional. So that's my basic image, that's the base I'm going to start with. And before I start to work in Photoshop, I want to open this image in Camera Raw, which is actually plugin in Photoshop. So let me close this image. Now I'm going to click File, Browse in Bridge. It was just a show of this picture. I'm going to browse this in Bridge. So I probably have this somewhere in my stock. Sorry for this mess. I'm not really good about keeping order on my desktop and everywhere. So here's the picture. I'm going to open this in Camera. I'll find your image, click right, open with, open in Camera Raw. And I'm not sure, but I think this image looks a bit different already. Yes, of course it looks a bit different. And the fact that the thing which looks actually different, I already did some correction before, so I want to start once again since the beginning. Camera defaults, and as you can see, that's our picture we're going to start with. That's the same picture I showed you before. And the things I'm going to work in Camera, I'm going to change some colors and I'm going to add some clarity, some details, work with highlights maybe a little bit. That's very important if you want to improve quality, if we want to do this really right. So at first, as we start in Camera, as you can see, we have option like we can add some temperature to make this picture a bit more sunny, or we can take down some temperature and make this a little bit slow. So let's have a look what thing actually looks better if we're going to make this picture sunny or we're going to take down a little bit. As I said before, this image has really nice vintage character, really nice this old-fashioned style. So even if this picture is a bit sunny, in this case I want to take down some temperature, let's say to -10. That's the colors I really like now. I want to add some classy color, I want to add some high fashion colors, so it cannot be too sunny. And in tint, I'm going to add some magenta. Of course, you don't have to be bothered about this part. I'm not going to change here anything. That's the thing we can do later a bit. But I'm going to add some clarity on this image. I will try to zoom this a bit, maybe to give you some example. Maybe it's too much, but as you can see, clarity is going to add us some really nice contrast, some details. So I'm going to add clarity, not too much, maybe around plus 10. Take it back a bit. As well as I'm going to take down some vibrance and saturation, as I think this image is totally too saturated. And as you probably know from my previous tutorials, I really like when the pictures are a bit desaturated. It gives me opportunities to edit this in really great way a little bit later on. Let's go to tone curve, and in tone curve I don't think there's much to do, but the thing we can do, I think we can work a bit with highlights. Take a look. I'm going to improve some highlights to make this face a little bit brighter. As you can see, if we're taking this down, we're taking down some contrast actually. So I'm going to bring up some highlights. I think I'm not going to take down any shadows, so I would be done with this section. Let's go later on. And now sharpening. So I'm going to zoom this a bit to give you a good example. Let's add some amount, and as you can see, it's going to sharpen. But if we're going to sharpen this picture too much, it will not look natural anymore. So we have to find the balance. We have to find the right way. So you can see that's how it looks before we sharpen this image. And let's adjust a bit to make this still look natural, but a bit more sharpened, a bit more detailed. Okay, and let's see how noise reduction actually works here. I can add some more amount, and I think this looks a bit better at the moment. This one looks much better actually. So maybe I could go back to my work in Photoshop. But before I'm going to do this, we made this small correction, and click this sign down here. Check all your settings here. Resolutions 300, but I'm not bothered about the settings, but always check open in Photoshop as smart object. So we're going to open this picture right now actually in Photoshop as a smart object. Okay, and now click open object, and we are back in Photoshop. It's going to take a while, as you see. Okay, that's our model. As you can see, our colors are a bit different, maybe not a bit, but for me it's much better. Now we have real opportunity to do the correction. Really want the correction that's going to improve this image. And as we are done with camera raw, now it's time for second part of this course. I can say it's second part, a little bit longer, a little bit more complicated, but I would say this tutorial, this course isn't actually complicated. Even beginners can do this. Only one thing you need, you have to be motivated to do something. So the first point is I'm going to do some color grading using selective colors. So I'm going to click this small icon on the bottom and then selective colors. I'm going to start with color reds. You might think, why reds? There's only flowers, but yes, as you can see, I want to bring up some science on this image, and I think that's not a big difference, but I like the change how flowers actually looks a bit washed out. I like the flowers a bit washed out. It gives a little bit more vintage color. And I'm going to take down some yellows in red. And since reds, I'm gonna go to whites. And on whites, I'm going to take down some cyans. As you can see, it's going to give us this really nice summer effect. As I said before, I want to make this image a bit colder, and this actually, as you can see, when I take down the cyans, it doesn't look so hot. It looks like vintage summer. It looks like vintage sun a bit. So I'm going to take down cyans quite much, minus 90%, around minus 20. As you, of course, you can take down more, but I think it might be a bit destructive. So maybe minus 22. Bring up some magenta. And then let's go to neutrals. Neutrals, the favorite part. Actually, as we don't have too many colors on this image, so the neutrals is like the most important part. And once again, this time just a little bit, maybe minus 5, take down cyan, minus 5, minus 6. This time it's much stronger, as you can see, and this color is really nice and vintage right now. Same magenta, bring up just a bit and take down some yellow color. It's going to give us this I would say bluish effect, but I really like the colors this picture has right now. At the moment, it has totally vintage fashion effect. So we are done with selective colors, and it's time to close selective colors. I'm not going to split the squares. I'm going to do all retouching process at once. After selective colors, after I've got this look, after I've got the colors I really want, the second step is dodge and burn tool. And after I'm going to do dodge and burn tool, I want to sharpen this image a bit, work with colors, and that would be our final result. So now let's start with dodge and burn tool. I'm going to create new layer. I'm going to call this dodge. Select brush tool and change color to color white. I'm going to zoom this a bit, just like this. And the parts I'm going to part, it's all bright parts. As you can see, I'm not filling this layer with color gray as I used to. I'm just going to use empty layer, and I'm going to use color white and color black. As I'm going to start with color white, I'm going to use opacity only at 5%. It's totally enough. If you need a bit stronger effect, if you need to touch your image a bit stronger, of course you can use brush just few times on one place, and it's going to improve this part as much as you want. I'm going to start with the face, just these shiny areas, of course hair. And of course, as you can see, we have blending mode as a normal, and to see the real difference, change to overlay. It's going to burn this a little bit. I have only 5%. It's totally not destructive, so it will be very nice and soft effect. But if you of course need more, just use few times, as I'm going to use on the hair. I want really nice and shiny hair, so I'm going to touch on this area a few times. The same about eyes. I'm going to change the size to a bit smaller and use this just a few times on the eyes, and it makes them really nice and bright. Bright lips, of course, very important part. And now we can go down a bit. Remember, paint all of the bright areas on the image. Be careful to not add too much. That's why I'm using a brush. It's really soft. And legs, very important part. The legs going to look really fantastic after a little bit of dodging. Of course, it's a very long process, and when I'm not talking I have an impression it might be a bit boring. Hope it's not. I'm trying to do this as fast as I can, but of course that's not the point to do everything as fast as we can, but the point is to do everything right. Take a look, the legs looks much more beautiful right now. So I'm going to create new layer and I'm going to call this burn. Let's see how it looks like. And I think this image looks really impressive. We dodged the model a little bit and she looks really awesome with all these lights. Now I'm going to change the color for color black. Still opacity I have only at 5%. Change into overlay once again. Zoom it. And now the same thing, but paint on the dark parts, on the black parts, to add some contrast, some beautiful shadows, just like I'm doing right now. See this breadth, this shadows area, a bit here. And as before, we paint with white brush on the legs, but we have some parts in the shadows area, so all the dark parts paint with color black, just like I'm doing right now, to add some really nice contrast. And nearly done with this. Take a look. Of course we can add some beautiful shadows in other parts, but the things I'm focused, it's a model. I'm going to press Ctrl and G to add these two layers into the group, and I'm going to call this group Dodge and Burn. Okay, and take a look how it looked before, how it looked now. I'm really happy with the effect I have now. Just take a look at the legs. How fantastic difference, how beautiful difference, like really it just touch and burn and image looks totally different. It looks like really high fashion and the legs are really improved. So time for second step after dodging and burning, time for some color corrections. So click the small icon and I'm going to use gradient map, which I'm going to use most of the times doing some kind of retouch, and we have to look at the character of the image, how it looks like, which colors we really want, adjust the colors into the character of the image. So I'm going to click the small icon, then gradient map, and take a look which colors would be the best for this image. I'm usually using very blue dark colors for the shadows, and the same thing I'm going to do this time, a bit darker than usual. Take a look, this very dark, nearly black color, this blue for shadows, and take a look color for highlights. I'm going to use this orange, bit soften, and this image looks actually very old-fashioned now without changing any blending modes, but that's the color I was looking for, maybe a bit darker like this. I really like this color. take a look now after we've done this. Take opacity down to 30%, and now it's time to decide. Let's take a look. I'm going to show you. It looks really great right now. It's not so shiny anymore. Now it's got this vintage effect. Of course, we can change this to check blending mode to colors, and I'm going to stay with this very beautiful, not so shiny anymore, vintage, old-fashioned summer effect. As we done with gradient map, now we go slowly going till the end, and the things we need a little bit of contrast, as we add this some gradients. It takes down some contrast, but I'm going to do this with very simple step, and the step is curves. But be careful about this. Just take down a little bit on the shadows area and bring up the highlights area in RGB mode, and take a look. It's a bit more shiny, so to not make this too strong, I'm going to change opacity to 50%, and I think that's the optimal look. Just a little bit of shiny effect, and that's the thing I really want. So as I said before, that's the thing we have to fix right now. It's sharpening of this image. We have to make this image a little bit sharpen. After you've done all of the color grading using selective color, dodging and burning as an improvement of contrast, then gradient maps, another color effect, and curves to add finally some contrast. But we still struggle with this poor image quality, so we're going to fix this right now. And of course there is a few methods we can do this, and probably I'm going to do this in 2 steps to get the perfect look I really want. At first I'm going to sharpen general image. I'm going to sharpen every part of the image. So create a stamp on the top, press Alt, Control, Shift and E. I'm going to call this sharpen. Click right, convert to smart object, and I'm going to click filter, sharpen and smart sharpen. And as we're going to use smart sharpen, we have to be really careful. We cannot add too much sharpen, of course, just a little bit to improve the sharpness a bit, but do not lose this natural look. As you can see, the quality, we could say it's a bit better. Press OK. But the only one thing is it looks really beautiful. If it's a bit too strong in your opinion, you always can take down opacity to 70%. The only one thing is we can improve hair a little bit more. So if you think this this sharpen is not enough, we can always create another stamp, and I'm going to call this sharpen mask. I don't need to create convert this to smart object, as here I can manipulate this every time. Actually there wasn't necessary, but this I'm going to just to filter, sharpen and unsharp mask. And now I'm going to add as much sharpen as I really want. Take a look. I want to see how much I need from this perspective. It's quite much. It improves the eyes quite much, but I think it's still too strong. Can always check what's the perfect for us. First, so really small, I want this really sharp, I want this to look like real high fashion. Strong amount. Okay, and take a look at first. It improves our eyes and it improves some of our hairs, but the thing is, if I want to make it sharpen on the face, on the other parts, no, I don't. That's why in this on this layer I'm going to add layer mask and press Ctrl I to invert the color black, and as you see, sharpen is no longer on this image. So now I'm going to just paint on this black layer, on this layer mask with color white on the areas I want them to be sharpened. Color white is done. Brush, size of the brush, and now I'm going to paint on the hair just here, of course with opacity at 100 this time. Eyes area, very strong, very beautiful right now. Zoom it a bit and let's sharpen her eyebrows, which are so blurry actually. It makes them a bit darker now. And take a look from the distance how this image looks right now. See, that's the thing I was looking for. It's really sharpened, the model looks beautiful, looks vintage, has this very old-fashioned, high-fashion look. At the end I'm going to show you how this image looked before. This is, as you can see, I try to do this quick to not make you bored. I try to show you the steps which are the most important to get quickly the most desired look. I'm going to put this into the group, Ctrl G, and I'm going to call this sharpen. And there you go. I'm going to zoom this a bit to make you see everything a bit better. If you would ever think this sharpen is a bit too strong, always can change this down to 80%, for example. Now I'm going just to drag this picture. That's the basic picture I started all of this with. As you can see, when I looked at this picture right now for the first time, I thought, what a great picture. From the distance, of course, because quality, as I said, it's quite poor. And it was really a beautiful, shiny picture. But after all of this editing, I'm going to put this on the top. After all of this editing, actually, when I look at this picture, I think it's not the same. And that's something, that's huge difference in really few steps. I'm not sure how long it took to do, probably around half an hour, and it would be even quicker if not this tutorial. So just few simple steps, few simple techniques even beginners can do to improve fashion image to get this fantastic look. So thank you for watching this course, this tutorial. Once again, hope you enjoyed, hope you like this effect, and now it's time for your creativity. Thank you and see you soon in the next tutorial.